indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you.
I move the governing board adopt the agenda.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right. Mrs. Tweedy, we will start with you with our governing board reports.
I don't have a report.
Mrs. Reed?
It feels like we were just back here, but I'm thankful we didn't have any extra meetings tonight. So, yay, thanks for that. We just have a regular board meeting. I have been pretty sick the majority of 2020, so I feel like I've slacked in the department of being able to go and be at school. So I apologize that I haven't been as visible on campuses as I typically am. But I'm finally better, so that's good. We did get a chance to stop by the art show at Anthem, the district art show, and I brought my kids, and they were so impressed by the talent of our high school students. And my sixth grader is really excited to hopefully be a part of the art show when she gets to high school. So just congratulations to all of the students who participated in that, and a thank you to our teachers who helped coordinate that and put that together, as well as our district folks. Besides that, I was able to go to the PLC second year kind of summary session, I guess. And so it was neat to kind of listen to the conversations that were happening amongst their groups and hearing about their wins, hearing about the things that they've learned, hearing about overcoming challenges. There were some really good questions that fellow teachers were asking one another. And so it just made me feel a little bit more confident on the things that are going on at the campus level. So thank you to our first and second year PLC leaders for all of the extra work that they've been doing in order to get their campuses all on the same page. And, you know, we don't always get a chance to see everything that goes on behind the scenes that you do. So just thank you for doing that. To our PLC leaders at the district level, thank you for organizing that. And Mrs. O'Brien, passing to you.
Absolutely, it is your turn.
Awesome. So I want to give a shout out for National Athletic Training Month and thank Kim Rogers for her updates. I loved the information on the athletic trainer role and nutrition for our district athletes. I appreciate that. I look forward to the remaining updates this month. Shout out to Mrs. Allred, although she's not with us this evening because she's feeling a little under the weather. A very successful business and community partner breakfast. Some great connections were made and received lots of compliments from the folks who were attending that morning during the networking time. Additional shout out to superintendent and the superintendent and student advisory summit. Awesome job. Those students are amazing leaders and the participants were really engaged and I think excited to take back what they were learning there. And another plug, I'm probably tired, you all are probably tired of hearing this, for Avenue 27. There are only 4 Fridays left. I had dinner there at the end of last month and it was amazing as usual. I got to meet with a community member who is interested in running for our governing board potentially, so that was exciting to get to talk to them. Thank you for allowing me to read at Read Across Anthem. Mrs. Fuel and Mrs. Lair's 4th grade class were awesome, although they did make me read the Sleep book, which is quite a tongue twister that I had never read before.
Do you have that book with you?
I do not, and you all don't want to hear me read it because woo, Nelly, I don't think my tongue works right.
They would have raised their hand, yes.
Thank you to the Diamondbacks and the University of Phoenix for our technology grant for Sierra Verde. JJ Putz and the provost from University of Phoenix had joined us for that celebration. It was awesome. The Arizona School Boards Association Equity Conference was last Thursday and Friday. They did an amazing job on providing workshops on inclusive leaders, how to be welcoming or how to have welcoming schools to all students, especially some of those students who are marginalized, like immigrants and foster students. So it was really some amazing information, and ditto on what Mrs. Reed said regarding the PLC teachers that took that 2-year journey. That was awesome to get to hear about their journeys last night. And I'm super excited to hear from our, I know this is coming up, but teaser, National Board Certified Candidate Teachers, because I've been able to go to that celebration every year for the last couple of years, and we didn't have anybody recognize this last year, which made me just a little bit sad. So I'm excited to go and have in the future and have lots of folks there and finally enjoy and rejuvenate over the upcoming spring break.
That was awesome. Ms. Frank?
Well, I'd like to give a shout out to Desert Sage. I attended their STEM Science Night. I think it was last Thursday, and great to see so many members of their community and awesome students. It was a really great evening. I'd also like to thank our custodial staff for the extra time and care they have spent on cleaning protocols and enhanced cleaning protocols for all of our schools. I did receive an email and a phone call regarding no soap in the bathrooms at one of our high schools, and I did spend quite a bit of time talking to one of our constituents. The principal of that school immediately emailed back the constituent who had emailed the board and took action very quickly to remedy that situation. I know that there is very often problems with the vandalism of soap dispensers in bathrooms. I don't want to call out the boys, but it does seem to be a little more prevalent in boys' bathrooms. Mother of 3 boys here. So I just would like to thank our custodial staff, because that is a never-ending chore, replacing the soap in all of the bathrooms. But it's so important, especially even during flu season and now with the talk of the coronavirus and more cases. And I'd like to wish everyone a wonderful, relaxing spring break. And I think that's it for my board report.
Yes, and just to add on to your soap dispenser, they actually took the soap dispenser, so
Literally.
they had nothing to put the soap in.
True.
But that's
Also
been
a boy
replaced,
Right.
and glued in. Anyway, getting off the soap. That's soap important.
Are you getting off your soapbox now?
Box.
I am, but I think that's mainly in a container now. But anyway, so Read Across America is awesome, and I had so much fun on that Monday that I got to go back on Wednesday and do Yertle the Turtle and make little turtles out of Play-Doh containers. So that was fun. I have the privilege, I guess, an opportunity to be appointed via ASBA to the AIA Executive Council. Did I say that right? Yeah, Legislative Council. Anyway, it was awesome. There's only one meeting a year, which makes it really fun too. So right now, Deer Valley School District has 3 members. Stacy from Deer Valley and Scott Warner from the district. So there's definitely some representation. I spent the morning at Mirage on Thursday, I think it was, doing more Read Across America. And they had Phoenix Children's Hospital had their breathmobile there, which was awesome. They had nobody not show up for any of their appointments. It's free, and I gave Mr. Warner a flyer that will go to you guys, but there's a conference, I think it's called a conference in August, right? Whatever it is, he knows, to learn about resources to get the medicine that you might need because they're trying to help the kids with asthma. So that's awesome. And there were 3 nurses there, and of course I got their picture, and they didn't realize I was doing that when I had, hey, smile. So they were on Twitter. And then we had Lori Ahern, who is our cafeteria manager at Boulder Creek, was elected the vice president of the Arizona Nutrition Association, so that's awesome. Sierra Verde was neat. And you forgot to mention Baxter. Baxter finally figured out the Rubik's Cube. So that was nice. Well, he did have help from the student. And again, always thank you to all of our staff, parents, community. Our students are absolutely backed, supported, held up, lifted up by the most extraordinary support team ever. So knowing all that, you should have a really cool spring break and make sure you wear green on St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, that's right.
Dr. Finch.
Well, I'll hit a couple items that the team hasn't hit yet. One is I hit my 500th classroom visit a week or so ago at Mountain Ridge High School. I landed at the marching band.
How many cookies did you bring?
6A straight state champion, so that worked out good. They were excited to see me because I had cookies and milk.
Did you have enough cookies?
We did. Those big kids can eat a lot of cookies, though. Different than
band
kindergartners.
kids just eat a lot.
They do. That's a lot of marching. So congratulations to Mountain Ridge again for winning the state title. That's a big deal. Yeah. And our summit went well. Miss O'Brien mentioned that. And I just wanted to mention about the art show that I did have the superintendent picks, and I got those done. You will see those out in our lobby here in a month or two. After we get them framed and all that good stuff, they'll be coming up here to get their check from the district as well. So that's always an exciting time, and we're working on maybe even moving it south, maybe do an alternating year, trying to find a southern location so we can spread out a little bit of our talent. So stay tuned for that. And we're working with legislators this time of year, and we're up to our eyeballs in that and trying to move the needle. We seem to be successful again this year, and so keep your eye on what's happening downtown because it appears to have some educational preference. So that's good to see through EFRG and ASA, the Superintendent's Organization. So that's been successful. And I want to take a couple minutes to pass the ball to Dr. Zurbach to kind of give you an update on our COVID-19 that we work on pretty much every day.
Thank you.
Sure, President Oderway, members of the board, Dr. Finch. We are tackling COVID-19 in a variety of ways. I know I've put updates in the past, few board updates for you, which provides information on what we're doing, but I'll take a moment here to review some of those. So first of all, we review each morning on the county's health department side. We do review for any updates that they've posted. They do post if there's any new presumptive positive cases. They post if there's any new positive cases there, so either one. And then they also post if there's anything else informative for schools or universities that we should know. So we start each day by doing that. We also have participated in the State Department's webinar on how schools should be tackling COVID-19. That webinar was last week. That was an hour webinar, which they covered a variety of topics. Really, though, they reinforce the importance of focusing on your county's health department as far as the guidance that they will provide in following their advice. We've also had a specialized training for our plant foreman. That occurred last week. They had training from a vendor that covers what or how to clean in the event of something like COVID-19. They also had various cleaning procedures reinforced in high-touch areas. Pretty much if you review any of the websites right now from the CDC or the county or the state, they are emphasizing the importance of the high-touch areas and making sure that those the consistent cleaning. And so that was reviewed with the plant foreman last week. We also have had several questions from the community about student travel, given that we have some trips that are outside of the state. And so for that, we did solicit the guidance of the county, and the county was very clear that it was appropriate for student travel to continue, that there was no reason to cancel any student travel as long as it was within the United States, including Hawaii with that. And so they saw no problem with the trips that we had. As a double check on that, we did do a review of the student trips, and we checked the county public health sites of those areas to which they are going to make sure there was nothing on those sites which indicated something that we should be aware of. And when we reviewed those sites, there was, again, nothing that suggested that we should be canceling any of the trips. We also have done some preparation planning in the event of a closure. Now, to be very clear, if you go to the county's site, they have it in their first paragraph that it is highly unlikely, and those are their words, that they would recommend a school closure. But nonetheless, if indeed one was recommended or were to be recommended, then we have done some preparation for that. One of the primary pieces for that is for the breakfast and lunch program. So for those students who can only or whose only means of getting food and eating that day is through the school, we've had talks with our nutrition department, making sure that we have plans in place for that if that were to happen. That also presents some unique circumstances in this case, because most folks will say, well, can you just go to the plan that you had for Red for Ed? This one is somewhat different given the nature of the concern if there was a school closure, okay, for that. So we can enact some of those pieces, but we cannot enact all of those, and so it requires a little bit of a different plan for that. The other piece that we have is we sent home a letter to our parents and our staff. We sent that March the 4th, so that was last week, and that contained various informational points about how we are tackling the COVID-19 and what we are doing for that. That letter also contained an attachment from the county health department, which provided guidance to parents as far as what things they could do to prevent the spread of any communicable disease, and also just to keep kids safe and to keep them healthy. And so that letter went home last week. And again, we would send home any future communication that the county would recommend to us. We would make sure that that would get home to our parents. This Friday, we have a check-in through a phone conference with our plant foremen, our administrators, and our nurses. That is scheduled for Friday morning. We want to do that to make sure that all three of those particular positions are in the same room together at the same time. And so with that, we plan to cover in more detail some of the items that I've talked about today, and also to review some of the procedures that, in case they were needed after the spring break, in the event we were to be notified of something that were to happen during the spring break, how we would handle that. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I just had one quick question. You said that 3 groups: plant foremen, nurses, and who will participate?
The administrators.
Administration. Thank you. Sorry.
What's that? That's okay.
Ms. Reed?
Just one quick question, because I've gotten emails too from faculty members that don't feel like they've heard enough information coming down from their campus level leaders. So is there a plan in place to ensure that administrators are speaking to teachers, and they feel comfortable and confident on how to keep their classrooms healthy?
Yes, President Ordway, Ms. Reed, I have received some of those emails as well. And so that is one of the points we will cover on Friday with our administrators as far as what to share with respect to this.
Ms. Frank?
Do we have sufficient protective masks and other equipment for our school nurses, since they're really the first line of defense? If a child is sick, that's the first person, other than the teacher, they would be sent to the school nurse.
President Ordway, Ms. Frank, yes, there has been some communication, I know, from Ms. Duarte to the nurses about the supplies. Again, that is one of the points, though, that we want to cover as well on Friday, to make sure that all of these items are secured by them, both for them, and then there are some of the items for the plant foreman too.
Okay. Are teachers' classrooms being supplied with disinfectant wipes? Because I know in some schools, parents are great about sending it in, particularly at the beginning of the year and as flu season progresses, but not all schools, not all the parents have the funds to do that. So are teachers being provided with disinfectant wipes so they can regularly clean their classrooms?
What I can tell you, Ms. Frank, is I know that the plant foreman in the meeting that they had were directed to make sure that they had the supplies necessary to do a thorough cleaning of all of the areas in the school. Specific to the wipes, I would need to check on that for you, but I can put that in board update.
Okay, yes, I would like that information. And then finally, regarding student trips, will you be continuously monitoring the counties that they're going to? So, for example, if someone had a trip planned to SeaWorld in San Diego, and right now that's not a hot spot, but as we know, things can change very quickly. Are you monitoring that to make sure that a trip that may have been approved tonight is still safe when the students are planning to go.
Yes, Ms. Frank. So on the review that we did, because we did a thorough review since the start of the year, because we know that some folks did put in their trips at the start of this school year, even though it's not going to happen until March or April. And so we have that timeline laid out to make sure that we're checking before those students were to leave if there were any update on the particular county's website.
Okay. And finally, I take it no one's planning a cruise.
Paula? No. Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
you bet.
Gary, are the different school districts sharing information? I mean, across the state or, nationally?
President Ordway, in terms of what they're sharing with parents, or
No, like with each other.
in the webinar was a chance for
Yeah.
folks to share some information. There was a chat box that, although sometimes did not have helpful information in the chat box, it was an opportunity for folks to share some of what they're doing. So that was one of the ways that we did that.
Okay.
There's a second webinar that's happening tomorrow. It's repetitive from the standpoint, most of it should cover what was covered last week from the state, but we will check it out as well to see if there's anything else that's being shared.
Okay, thank you.
We also have the state or the National Superintendent Association
yeah.
has been sending out different, obviously different states are at different stages, and they are giving us all that access to all that information.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. Who's next? Are they chatting?
That's it.
They're not paying attention, are they?
We're done.
Oh, well. I
NBCT.
know. He gets a really cool pen, and then he's, Miss Mock, are you ready?
President Ordway, members of the board, Dr. Finch, and guests, I am.
Yay.
We are going to talk about all of those students and just how many of them we have in our extraordinary classrooms this evening, starting with our finance enrollment report. As of the end of February, we are up 0.1% in enrollment from this time last year. As a reminder, we're actually funded on an aggregate from our first to our 100th day. So this doesn't count for funding, but if we were looking at it for funding or for future funding, we do know that we continue to be up in kindergarten, 76 students over this time last year. However, our overall K-8 enrollment is actually down 20 students from this time last year. The good news is then that high school, which happened to bring a slightly heavier weight when it comes to funding, are up 68 students from this time last year. So the difference for the 48 students we have increased is the 68 in high school minus the 20 from K-8. The good news with that funding is that it is slightly higher weight for high school. The bad news is it's for a slightly shorter time. With that, I will take any questions regarding the enrollment report.
We have 0 questions.
Well, that takes me to report number 2, the M&O financial report for the month ending February 2020. Very few changes from the previous reports. We are continuing to see savings in our classified staffing with those positions that we are unable to get filled, including paraprofessionals and even bus drivers still a little bit. Some of the things that you might see differently compared to the report that we had in February of 2019 for last year is that at this time last year, we were actually projecting a negative, an over expenditure of the budget on utilities, whereas this time we are expecting a little bit of coming in under budget on our utilities, partially thanks to our utility management program. However, offsetting that is we have seen some increases to waste disposal, specifically recycling. So it might not be as big of a savings as what we might expect. With that, we're projecting just over $1 million, 1.06, compared to what we were projecting at the end of January of 800,000. And with that, I will take any questions regarding the M&O budget.
Questions? 0 questions.
All right. Thank
Do
you very
like
much.
that number? Next. What?
Okay. President
Tune
Ordway,
us.
members of the governing board, Dr. Finch, we are excited to talk a little bit tonight about DVUSD's National Board Program. Joining me are 2 members of our leadership team, Dr. Jess Ledbetter and Miss Alexis Leduca. When I joined the DAO team, I was lucky to have the opportunity to work with the National Board program. Initially, our National Board leadership team analyzed Deer Valley's history with National Board, and we visioned for the future. Because we value the National Board program and its effect on teacher efficacy and student we quickly set a goal to double the number of National Board teachers in DVUSD within 3 years. Tonight, we will capture some of the benefits along with the support provided to our candidates and our current members.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to share, and I really appreciate the support of the board as we have been on this endeavor so far. To provide a little bit of background, National Board Certification is a voluntary advanced teaching credential that goes beyond state licensure, evaluating teachers and school counselors by national standards for which accomplished teachers should know and be able to do. Really, this is about transforming educators into intentional, reflective practitioners that focus on students and really make research-based decisions that promote their students' learning based on that deep knowledge of their students. So candidates for National Board Certification enroll in a process where they submit 4 very rigorous components based on the 5 core propositions that are established by the National Board of Professional Teaching Standards. They really show their deep understanding of their standards in their certificate area, and there's 25 certificates possible. National Board Certification is highly aligned with our mission in Deer Valley to provide extraordinary educational every learner. Looking at research about National Board Certification, students of board certified teachers outperform students of non-board certified teachers on achievement tests, and the positive effect is even greater for minority students. Students of board certified teachers make learning gains equivalent to an extra month of school every school year. So you can see highly aligned. Also to our core values, National Board Certified teachers enhance their reflective practice. They establish professional discourse among teachers, raise their standards for performance, and facilitate collaboration. So this really hits all of our core values and also aligns with our PLC work that we're doing right now in the district. Board certified teachers take on leadership roles that include mentoring and coaching others and developing programs aimed at improving student learning. As well, board certification was found to retain the most highly accomplished teachers in the classroom, so really maintaining our excellent teachers in our classrooms in Deer Valley. So I want to share a little bit about what the Deer Valley National Board Network has been up to. We really are working a lot on candidate support. So we have 6 candidate support providers, including myself and Alexis Laduca. We support 20 candidates currently that attend monthly cohort meetings, and we also attend Arizona K-12 Center events to support our candidates who are attending. We've hosted an August kickoff 2 years in a row. Many of you have come. Thank you for that. And we also have a private Facebook page to facilitate collaboration for our candidates on that, on that community level. We have also been highly recruiting candidates. So we have a great website that Gabby Manette has been keeping up for us on Deer Valley's website. We have a recruitment video online, which I really feel creates an equitable opportunity for every educator to have access to our information about national boards, even if they aren't able to attend one of our info sessions. We are offering for the second time a pre-candidacy class, and this year we have 21 educators involved in our spring candidacy class, pre-candidacy class. We offer an information session every January. We did that again this year. We offer outreach at each campus when we're invited by principals, provide regular articles in the Deer Valley Voice. We have a Deer Valley MBCT Network Facebook page for people to connect with us in the community. We were present this year at the Deer Valley Back to School Rally. Thank you for those of you who stopped by. And we have a Twitter feed to retweet information about national boards, as well as our candidates. Thank you for those who retweet. We also have really been working on outreach to administrators to make sure that they're familiar with National Board Certification and feel very comfortable approaching teachers on their campuses who are ready to begin. We've presented twice now at the pre-K-12 meetings. We have a nice one-page overview for administrators to be able to quickly answer their questions and make it easier for them to talk to teachers and counselors on their campus. and also through a little mini action research project, created support to help principals think of just really great ways for them to support candidates on their campus as they seek national board certification. We have also been recognizing accomplished teaching in Deer Valley. These are some great pictures from last year when Ann Farmer achieved her national board certification, and we surprised her for Balloon Day. And Dawn Olson renewed her national board certification as well. And then we were so proud to celebrate our teachers at the Arizona K-12 Center's celebration of accomplished teaching. So with all those efforts, looking at some numbers, these are the past 3 years of our data as far as how the National Board program is growing in Deer Valley. You can see that our number of National Board certified teachers hasn't changed much yet, but you may have remembered that this is a process of submitting 4 components, and that takes. So what I'm really excited about is the growing number of candidates in Deer Valley. You can see we went from 2 to 9, now we're at 20. 7 of those candidates will fully submit all 4 of their components by May. So we're looking at a number that might grow, hopefully by 7 candidates next. 7 MBCTs next year. So that will be a big celebration at the celebration of accomplished teaching. Also looking at our enrollment for our pre-candidacy class grows every year. 21 members this year attending that class, looks at possibly adding at least 21 teachers next year into that group of candidates. So I really feel that we are on track to achieving our goal of doubling our National Board Certified teachers by 2021. I want to take a minute to recognize first National Board Certified teachers in Deer Valley that joined us, if you would stand.
Wants you to stand.
All right. And also our candidates in Deer Valley, please stand.
They're so shy.
And as well, any members of the audience who are National Board Certified teachers here supporting our candidates and National Board Certified teachers. I also want to take a minute and recognize all of these schools that have some great stats as far as their MBCTs and the candidates on their campus. National boards is really something that grows like a fire. Once someone starts, others find out about how it works and curious. So all of these schools are doing a great job with that. I see that next year we will be adding many schools to this list as well as numbers of candidates. So I'm excited to share that report with you next year. Looking at our data about how we compare nationally and locally, you can see the number of National Board Certified teachers in Arizona, as well as the number of candidates. Arizona currently ranks 18th in the U.S. for numbers of MBCTs. And in Arizona, we have 1.7% of teachers in Arizona are MBCTs, which compares to 3% of teachers across the U.S. So in general, Arizona is below what our national average is. But really looking at the gap then, for Deer Valley, we only have 0.8 of our certified teachers and school counselors that are MBCTs. So we really are looking to double that. And I think our goal is well in line with being able to bring that up to the state level. This is such an exciting slide to be able to share the financial supports available to any candidate in Deer Valley. With the support of the Arizona K-12 Center and the governor's office, any candidate in Deer Valley can submit all 4 components free of charge. Additionally, they can receive $225 toward professional development that will help them achieve their National Board certification. And with that grant this year, the Arizona K-12 Center is also sending 4 of our coaches to a summer time to be together to collaborate about how we can increase our efforts for National Board support in Deer Valley. Additionally, with the amazing support of Discover and the Deer Valley Education Foundation, we're able to pay for 1 retake component per year per candidate if they're not able to receive funds in a different way. Additionally, we're providing snacks for cohort meetings, which may not sound like a big deal, but it's a great support for teachers to be able to come without having to stop along the way. Additionally, we're sending 2 additional Deer Valley coaches to that summer training with our funds, which is exciting because it means all 6 of us will be there together. And this year we are able to send 3 Deer Valley candidates to the National Board workshop, which provided them an intense opportunity to work together with other coaches and other candidates in the state. So we're hoping to be able to do that again next year, assuming our funds continue.
Thank you, Dr. Ledbetter. And now I'm going to turn it over to Ms. LaDuca.
President Ordway, Dr. Finch, and members of the board. Hi. We are really excited to be able to share all this information with you. And I've been in the district, I think 23, maybe 24 years. I'm a high school English teacher, but a long time. And when I achieved in 2017, it was the most amazing process and impacted me personally, professionally, and every day since. I have been able to work with National Board. I have grown as a teacher, and it's just phenomenal. So what we want to do is be able to share some of the heart behind the stories of two current amazing candidates that we have who are in process. The first speaker is going to be Deborah Johnson and then Erica Hale.
Good evening. Thank you for letting us come and speak and share our journey with you. So I wanted to share with you how thankful I am that Deer Valley provides so many supports for our national board candidates. The process towards certification is probably the most strenuous and challenging activity I've ever done in the 27 years I've been a teacher. It's an amazing journey, and it's really pushing me to be the best teacher I can be for my students. And I really wanted to just tell you thank you. I appreciate it.
Hello, thank you for letting me speak. My name is Erica, and I'm in my 10th year of teaching, and I wanted to share a story to show how what I learned in national boards has impacted a specific student. I have this student who started at the end of the first quarter with so much hurt and anger that he only knew how to handle it with aggression and intimidation. He also struggled with the analyzation of passages because he was missing foundational skills needed to even read. 2 years ago, I would have managed his behavior as best I could and given him countless interventions that he didn't respond to and think that I had done everything I could. This year, I did things differently based on the National Board's essential standard of being committed to my learning. I immediately started with the 2x10 practice of spending 2 minutes for 10 days just noticing things about him and asking him easy questions about himself. I quickly learned that he had abandonment issues and I was not going to get anywhere with him until he began to trust me. So I made that my mission with him instead of increasing his reading level. I started by giving him an opt-out signal when we were reading out loud in small groups or whole class, so he wouldn't feel the need to do something to get kicked out. I also noticed that he would do just about anything for attention, so I collaborated with other teachers and admin to get him at least 3 positive interactions each day. He also needed to know that there was nothing he could do that would make me give up on him, so I'm sure to end every time I have to hold him accountable that while I might not have liked his choice, I still like him and I still believe in him. Slowly but surely, I built his trust, and only then was I able to begin working on his reading deficiency. I got him on Systems 44, set goals with him, do many interventions with strategies, and other things to help him. He was already moved up a grade level in the 6 weeks of interventions. He's willing to read easy paragraphs whole group, and almost anything in a small group. If I had started with reading goals, he would have had a wall up, blocking my ability to get through. It is because of the National Board's training that I have had that I even realized that. I'm so grateful for the opportunity DVUSD has given us, both with mentorship and finances, and hope that it continues for many, many more years and continues to adjust and expand with the needs. Thank you for all you've done so far.
I want to thank each of you for your support in this ongoing efforts. Some ways that you can help is as you make contacts with community members. If you find that opportunity to bring grants to this program, I hope you'll do so. And if you are on a campus and you see something amazing, I hope you'll tell that educator, hey, have you heard about National Board Certification? Because most teachers say that someone told them they were ready before they got started. So please be that spark. We hope that to bring this to every educator in Deer Valley. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. No public comments?
So no public comments.
So let's Let's move on to old business.
Okay.
5A.
5A, I move that the governing board approve the recommended SY 2020-21 certified performance pay plan.
I second.
Scott, did you want to go over that with us?
President Ordway, members of the governing board, I do have a PowerPoint here, but it's the same PowerPoint we presented last time, so I was not planning on going through it. Also, the recommendation from administration is the same as we had at the preview. I just wanted to remind you of the caveat that there's still legislation being worked on that could impact this, and it might come back. But other than that, we make the recommendation you approve this plan.
Any questions? 0 questions. No more discussion? So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nothing. We have all 5 ayes there. Let's go to 5B.
Okay. I move that the governing board accept the administration's recommendation to ratify the district performance pay percentages for classified, administrative, and exempt from 2006 to 2019 and approve the 2019-20 performance pay percentage for these employee groups as 2% and other professional staff set at 2% or 2,250, whichever is greater.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? There are none. Why is my voting? Oh, here it is. Sorry.
5C?
Yes, ma'am.
I move that the governing board accept the administration's recommendation to approve the contract language for certified administrative exempt and deputy superintendent for the 2020-2021 school year.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Wow, moving right along.
I move that the governing board approve consent agenda items 6A through 6K.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Did it come up?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I don't. Oh, there it is. Okay, ready for our action items?
Yes, ma'am.
7A, I move that the governing board approve all employee out-of-state travel per governing board policy GCCE.
Second.
Oh,
Brian
look at
got
that.
Sorry.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any opposed? All right. 7B.
I move that the governing board accept the administration's recommendation to pre-approve the addenda as presented.
Sorry.
Second. Sorry.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Rapid fire, 7C.
Wait for it.
Woohoo! Faster than Sheila. I can't say that much.
I move that the governing board accept the administration's recommendation to approve the 1 GPA cooperative contract proposal from SPS Plus to be the architect of record for the new K-8 school in the Stetson Valley Community Elementary number 32.
Second.
Mr. Miglerino.
President Ordway, members of the board, Dr. Finch, we've been trying to share with the board some of the growth that is happening north of Happy Valley on the western portion of our boundary. We have 5 schools that would be affected by this, potentially affected by this, depending on how the boundaries would work out. We are currently tracking several developments in the area. The largest development happening to be Alara Vida near 75th Avenue and Jomax. There's over 1,700 homes in that community. They have already pulled over 350 permits through January. And they are aggressively pulling about 25 permits a month at that particular development. Pulling the permit doesn't mean that there are people living in those homes. It takes anywhere from 6 to 8 months to build the homes. So those homes aren't occupied at this point in time. So we are expecting about a 2 to 3 year build out for the more than 1,700 homes, and that can be accelerated based on certainly what happens with the market, or it could be accelerated or could actually slow down. What we're asking the board to consider tonight is engaging with an architect to be able to design the school, because all of the development that is proposed leads us to believe that this is the appropriate site for the next elementary school that is in the 2019 bond authorization. As to when we would open the school is still, I think, a question that we don't have quite figured out at this point in time. So we wouldn't engage in the construction of the school until we were more definitively aware of what we were going to do as it relates to the school boundaries, knowing more about how the progression of the development happens in this particular region. So tonight is to actually get the architect on board so that we can actually work on the design at the school itself. I'd be happy to answer any questions that the board might have.
Ms. Reed.
I've gotten some questions from other parents and community members as to how this location was chosen and if we have other possible locations or other land holdings within the district that an elementary school could go on.
President Ordway, Ms. Reed, we do have, in this particular region, we do have 2 other land holdings that we own, one of which is not buildable. It is located at 83rd Avenue and Happy Valley Road. And the topography there would not lend itself for, in my opinion, very much to be constructed on, let alone a school. But we also own a potential future land site in the Sonoran Mountain Ranch community, which is 67th Avenue turns into Pyramid Peak Parkway, so it's up at the end of that where 67th Avenue pretty much dead ends at the canal. This particular site was chosen because of the population that's growing, that's affecting specifically West Wing, Terramar, and Stetson Hills communities. So there's about 3,000 students planned for next year at all 3 of those schools combined, and the capacity is limited at those schools. So this site was specifically chosen to be able to address the immediate development that's happening, the new development, as well as the existing concentration of populations that exist amongst those 3 schools I just.
Mrs. O'Brien?
Thank you. Mr. Miguelarino, can you tell us a little bit more about the process and or costs if things do slow down? What we would do, or would that cost us additional dollars if we put the brakes on a new school? Will there be additional costs incurred later on?
President Ordway, Ms. O'Brien, there would, at this point in time, engaging with the architect would not incur any additional costs that I could foresee at this point in time. The architect is aware that the timing is subject on what development is going to transpire. If we were to open it for August of 21, we would have to engage with a contractor much along the same timeline that we did for the Union Park School. And that would mean that we would have to have a general contractor determined by, let's say, August or September at the latest, to be able to open it for August of 2021. But having the set of plans approved, the only thing that we would be at risk is if there were some code changes that happened between when the plans were drawn and when the building would be constructed that would have to go through some sort of revisions. We would not actually seek the permit for the school until we knew with some confidence that we were ready to build it, because the permits are only good for a year. They can be extended. And I think the city would be cooperative with us if we needed to extend it. But this would give us some time to work on the design and get more information about how the development is happening in that area to make a decision as to when we would build it. So we wouldn't anticipate a great deal of increased cost until we decided that we got to the point where we're engaging with the city for the permit and or bringing a general contractor on board to start the building and then having to pause that at some point in time.
Thank you.
So to wrap that up, I guess the architect plans can stay on the shelf forever unless there are some additions to permitting, correct? Or code changes.
Yeah, President Ordway, the code changes
Right.
more than which is part
I
of the
meant
permit process.
the code. Okay.
I think Miss Tweedy has a question.
I looked that way. Sorry. I looked at you this time. Miss Tweedy.
I just had two questions. How did you choose the architect? And then the second question would be, are you looking at designing the school similar to a school we've already built to keep the costs down?
President Ordway, Ms. Tweedy, yes, very good points. I should have pointed this out. In fact, I wanted to apologize for my Friday update. I started to provide this in detail, and then I provided an ellipse as a reminder to come back to it, and then I got sidetracked, and so this didn't get included. So I appreciate the opportunity to clarify this. We did engage with SPS Plus Architects back in 2008 to build this particular school. The civil work was already done by the architect. We did engage with them. They offered to provide a discount for the services that we did pay for back in 2008, and then put this particular school on pause at that point in time. So that's included in their price. They also were the architect of record for both Stetson Hills and Sierra Verde, which is the design that we are considering to model this school after. It will be more likely similar to Sonora and Foothills. We've made some modifications to the administration office due to security concerns. So those schools are all cousins to each other, if you will, from a design standpoint, but they were the original architect of record on those particular designs. We did engage another architect that we have enjoyed success with. They did provide us with a proposal, but their proposal on a similar cooperative contract, I think also with one GPA, was $80,000 more than the SPS architect. So that's why we're recommending this particular architect for this project.
Okay, with that, would we want to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Sorry.
Any opposed? All right. Wow. Look at us. We are at preview items. And I know, Jim and Heather, you are so excited about this preview item. So you may start.
I'm sorry, President Ordway, I forgot about this one.
I didn't hear that. It must
The
have been in
employee
between those
benefit.
ellipses, right?
You should be able to do this in your sleep, though.
Each year, as the board is aware, we do involve our staff employee groups to be able to help us look at our benefit offering, not only kind of revisit the benefits that we have and get their experiences and feedback from the current year, but also looking forward, more importantly, looking forward as to what the benefit recommendations would be for the upcoming year. I wanted to thank the benefit committee. I know I saw a couple that were here in the audience. You want to stand, if you will, or just we can recognize them with some applause for their time. This is one of those committees where you get blamed for everything and probably thanked for nothing. So that applause is probably the most meaningful thing that they may. There you go. We did meet 3 times. Typically, we've met maybe as many as 4 or 5 times in a typical year. But I think there was some good news with this year. We always like to knock on some wood when we talk about this because we had, as the board is aware, we are self-insured when it comes to our benefits. But we've had a very good year when it comes to our claims experience. And that afforded us many options that making more positive decisions related to our benefit offering as opposed to looking at how we adjust for increased projected cost. So with that, I'll cut to the chase. This is just a preview item, so we're not taking any formal action on this. But because of that loss experience ratio that we had, we did have a 0% medical benefit increase thanks to our involvement with Valley Schools and them keeping their fixed costs constant yet another year. That allowed us to afford a lot more options. So these are very employee centric, in my opinion, in terms of what the recommendation is. Even though the first bullet there says eliminate the Navigate plans, the Navigate network is a narrow network, meaning it's fewer providers. Namely, it eliminates Banner Health providers as well as Mayo Clinic providers. It is a more cost-effective option for our employees to select, but what we have learned over time, we've been enjoying the Navigate plan as an option for employees for, I think, 2 to 3 years, is that employees are choosing that option because of cost, and then when they go to receive services, they regret making that choice. And so the committee thinks that we should eliminate those options so that the employees don't make a bad choice. And by doing that, it also helps reduce the cost for family coverage for employees, which was another point that the committee wanted to address. It's not a major decrease. It's about $230 on an annual basis. But it would provide a reduced rate for employees that elect for our family coverage by pulling them all into just what we call the traditional network with United Healthcare, and still keeping 2 options available, a PPO plan and a high deductible plan for employees, but both of those with just traditional contract providers, not having a narrow network with those. The IRS is requiring us to increase the deductible on the high deductible plan. So that's just conforming, increasing it from $2,700 to $2,800 for single coverage and from $5,400 to $5,600 for family coverage. Again, that's just to conform with the IRS rules for next year. We also get reinsurance. Even though we're self-insured, we reinsure for high-cost claims. We have not increased our stop loss for about 15 years. So this is a big increase, $300,000 to $400,000, but it's a lot of pent-up demand over those 15 years. We kind of held that number constant for a long period of time. Probably should have increased it marginally over time. We didn't, unfortunately. This means that we will be on what we call on the hook for the first $400,000 when it comes to claims. But anything over that, any catastrophic claims over $400,000, we get reinsurance and get reimbursed for those claims. We much like we did in previous years at the $300,000 level. The rest of the employee benefits, there really are no changes, and so they're listed there. Everything from dental coverage, short-term disability, accidental death and dismemberment, our EAP, which has been a welcome addition to our benefits last year. And then the last bullet there is some additional services. It's a product called Second Opinion and Empowered Me. An additional, just for clarification, additional benefit called Empowered Me that allows for the employees to be notified under certain circumstances to be able to get an expert second opinion if the employee so chooses. So these are for certain diagnoses that have more than one preferred method of being treated. This would then allow the employee to get that second opinion at no expense to the employee if they so choose. So we're adding those additional benefits for employees. And then finally, the ASRS contribution is going up. Unfortunately, a small amount. There's an increase not only for us as the employer of record, but also for our employees. I like to remind people it is a forced savings account because it's an account that goes into their name, but it also is a high percentage. I have in the past mentioned that we were hoping that percentage would be going down, but I heard the executive director from the state retirement system speak last week. He claims that the rate will be at 12% for the next 27 years, he predicts. So what they previously predicted did not come to fruition. And this is before the stock market crash of last week. So unfortunately, we think that percentage is going to remain relatively high, or at least at about the 12% rate for the foreseeable future. And no other employer-paid benefit changes are contemplated in this recommendation. And I'd be happy to answer any questions the board might have.
I'm looking to the left. Yes.
So have all employee groups ratified this recommendation that's being brought to us?
President Ordway, Ms. Frank, I don't know if official ratification has happened at this point in time. I know that because we just concluded the NST meeting, that I think the certified group, for example, is planning on ratifying on March 31st, the salary recommendation. We typically do the benefit recommendation early so that we can plan for the benefit open enrollment period, which we would like to target at the end of April, so that it doesn't interfere with some of the other timing of efforts that are happening. And I don't know that any of the other groups have ratified it, but all of the members that were representatives of the groups were present and did approve this particular recommendation, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Darcy. Ms. Judy.
I just had one question. I always get asked, how come we don't offer an option for spouse only?
President Orway, Ms. Tweedy, we get asked that question a lot. So does many of the benefit committee members. And so the long and short of it is, if we were to add what's known as more tiers, more options like an employee spouse or employee children options, it would increase the cost of family coverage, because right now those that have a limited number of dependents with them, maybe a spouse, for example, they're actually supplementing those that have family coverage because it was set up that way, more than 15 years ago, because that's how long I've been here. So it's just the way the situation works is to add more tiers would increase the cost. And what has happened is we've had selective choice of more families electing for the plan than those people that have just one dependent. And so more people get impacted if we were to add more tiers because we have fewer people with limited number of dependents that even make the option for us because it's so expensive to add one dependent. So it's kind of hard to describe just orally, but it actually would increase the cost for family coverage. And most of the people that are taking what we call dependent coverage have families that they're covering. So it would negatively impact more people to add more tiers.
Well, just my 2 cents. It just, I know there's a lot of people in our district that are married and their spouse doesn't have insurance and they can't afford to supplement everybody's insurance. Mm-hmm. So if everybody pays for what they're using, it just seems fair. I don't know. Those are just my 2 cents.
President Ordway, Ms. Tweedy, I don't think that even some of the benefit committee members, but I think the point of what ends up happening from a practical standpoint is more people get negatively impacted by that, and there are other options for people with limited dependents, so they can go to the exchange. There are other options for them to consider, and we do encourage that to be able to have them find alternatives.
Can you provide then information to employees in that position where they could find these alternatives? Because they don't seem to know.
Yes, we do, and we can make it more prevalent, I should say.
Thank you. I think it'd be helpful if you communicated that. I know a lot of employees are struggling with this.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Dr. Finch, I think it's your turn. Really? You forgot to? Wow. Wow, Jim, look what you started.
Well, it's just the
It's just
board meeting schedule for next year. And so two notes that are different than last year or this year. One is on the October month. The 14th will be a Wednesday instead of a Tuesday. Correct? Yep. And so that one will be different. Remember, that's also the month of
one board
mid-states as well. And we'll have one board meeting that month. December, obviously, we always have one. In July, we have one as well. But the other change that's significant is the November pairing. On the 24th, there won't be any celebration, student honors, that kind of thing, because kids will be out of school. That's the tricky weekend there. So that's just a shorter version will be going on at that time. So everything else is pretty much the again, the two differences, October 14 is a Wednesday, and November 24 will just be a regular meeting without awards.
Sounds awesome. Yes, Miss Reed.
Just personally, because I have kids and we're off that whole week, I don't know that I was planning on hanging around town. And I would imagine that some of our other executive cabinet members were probably looking forward to having that break off as well. So is there discussion or an alternate as far as not having a board meeting when we have no school and the district office is supposed to be closed?
That would be the board's prerogative. That because the board is the one that determines that. These are just my recommendations.
Miss O'Brien, you look like you have an idea.
I actually have a question, and since this is a preview item,
Yes.
I hope that leads to a potential idea.
I love it. Go ahead.
So, I, off the top of my head, I cannot recall what items we might generally be looking at in that November meeting, but certainly maybe in an update we could receive some information about what might
Maybe
be normally covered in that board meeting and what it would look like to maybe not have that meeting is where I would go, because I would concur with Mrs. Reed for the sake of our staff that if we can avoid having that meeting, that'd be awesome. If there's critical stuff, is there a way to handle it otherwise? Because
like a long meeting,
right? The whole meeting, the whole week. If we're all off, I'd just like to know so that we can make an informed decision.
Okay.
At the next board meeting.
Sounds great. And
I did 18 years of one board meeting a month, so this has been new to me.
We might have to think about
so
that
it can
too.
be done. Yes,
Do you have
we'll
any
give you that
further
information.
discussion?
Thank you.
Questions?
So
go
much for
to
that.
email, and you'll fill us in on what usually rolls up during that time.
Yep, we should be able to gather that.
Okay.
It
What
looks
what
like
do you have to
December
say?
8th is my parole date then.
What do you have to say there, Ms. Frank?
I move we adjourn the
moving?
governing board meeting.
Ooh, second.
Second.
Ooh, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And let's conclude this
Any
meeting
opposed?
at 8:10 p.m.